Boys, SEC only this year. September 26th. A little clarity starting to come in. The devil's in the details. We'll see what those are. Who are going to be the 2 extra games? Where are they going to be? When are they going to be? SEC Championship set for December 19th. So already we are moving into we're moving back a bit, giving things a bit of time to calm down. Everybody kind of find their footing. We could get back to how we felt at, what was it, the beginning of June when things were feeling pretty good, moving into phase 2, feeling positive. Yeah, maybe we get back to that feeling, and then you feel really good about college football. And we'll start to know how many fans are going to be at the game and what they're going to do about tickets, et cetera, et cetera. But what's your surface level reactions to hearing 10 SEC games on the docket this fall?
I love it.
I do too.
It's going to be compelling every single week. Now, you do lose the benefit of what you had last year where everyone got hurt at Texas, and you had that 4-month layoff where you played Vanderbilt, Utah State, and Northwestern State.
A lot of coaches' decisions mixed in there, too.
You don't have the coaches' decisions this coming season, and you don't have time to bounce back from injuries, but I like that it will be entertaining and compelling every week. We don't have to sit through UTSA. Yeah.
Also, nobody else has that time either.
Yeah,
so,
it's level.
It's a classic thing that my old man used to say, oh, are you hot? Oh, are you hot? Okay, well, guess what? It's hot for them too. Suck it up. Okay? Yeah, it sucks. It's a grind. Suck it up. I have to imagine that they'll have 2 bye weeks. I haven't read
they said they only had 1 in the middle of the season. I thought that's what I saw yesterday.
Okay. That's okay. I haven't read one way or another yet. If it's only 1, that kind of shocks me. They did push the season back, so maybe the windows are just too tight, but I figured they'd want to leave themselves a lot of wiggle room based if you have a Marlins type of situation. So we'll see. But yeah, you're not going to have as much time to recover from injury. It's going to be a huge grind on these players. I mean, think about if you're Miles Brennan. You are having to follow up the greatest college football player of all time. The greatest college football player in your school's history, at least. A guy who they're already talking about, build the statue, retire the numbers. He brought you to the promised land. He set all the records. He blew expectations. He shattered them, disintegrated them. And now that's the shoes that you have to fill. And then in that moment, right, as if that wasn't tough enough, then a global pandemic arises. And you can't practice with your teammates. You can't get the timing down like you want to. You can't go work out like you want to. You're reduced to cutting down trees in your yards and benching and squatting them like it's Rocky IV. And then on top of that, you don't get your easy warm-up games. You don't get your UTSAs or your McNeeses or anything else like that. Rice, that's all out the window. Now, you're going straight into the SEC, and you're going to stay there for an entire fall. You thought playing 8 SEC games was a grind? How does 10 sound? So, yeah, man, pressure's on. Pressure's on this entire team, but obviously, like almost anything else with LSU, viewing it through the lens of Miles, putting yourself in his shoes, you see how daunting that can kind of look. So let's hope that this team's leadership's ready for it. I believe they are, and they're very talented. And they're still more talented than basically every team on their schedule. It almost doesn't matter who you add. If you had Georgia, you could argue maybe they got more NFL talent this year. Argue. Alabama, you could argue have more NFL talent. But I don't think A&M. Definitely not Florida. And they might be close, but they're not there. So if the leadership's right, if you can get everybody locked in, you can still have a lot of success this season. But yes, from a viewer perspective, I actually love this schedule better than a normal one. Ben Coughlin says, I believe the 10-game SEC schedule is here to stay. This is something that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, and it hasn't gotten a lot of traction, and I don't know that it will. Because when you start to look at the economics of going to a full Power 5 schedule, I do think it's a little it's a little tough. It's going to be tough for multiple reasons, right? You're going to lose a couple home games potentially, which could mean a loss in revenue for the schools. Obviously, group of 5, all of these smaller schools that depend on those big paydays, the fallout from that is something that I can't really wrap my head around. And those paydays allow, hundreds, thousands of football players throughout the country to continue to play football, to continue their career. I don't want to be so callous as to act like getting rid of that is no big deal. But I think if you look at the SEC TV contract and how Mike Slive approached that back when, was it like 15 years ago? I think there's some lessons that you could potentially draw from that. Slive sacrificed money in the short term for exposure. And look at what it did. It led to money down the road. He said, dude, CBS gets the SEC games for $55 million a year.
It's a steal.
It's a steal. ESPN's going to pay them $300 million a year when this contract is up. So you're like, oh, that's a terrible deal by Slive, except that it's not, because what did he do? He said he wanted to focus on brand awareness, build the brand, and then let the money follow. And look at what it's done. I mean, people are locked in on that CBS slate every single Saturday. It led to championships. The championships led to more money. It's led to the huge ratings. It led to big revenue sharing from other TV contracts that were struck afterwards, things like the SEC network. And now when this new contract is struck, it's going to lead to even bigger money and revenue sharing. And so the reason why I bring that up is this 10-game SEC schedule could potentially be a bit of the same boat. Where, yeah, if you move to something like an all Power 5 schedule, which I would love, if you did 10 Power 5 games, 8 SEC, 2 non-conference, let's go. That would be awesome. If you want to do 11 or 12 games, sure, I'm down for that too. That's just a hell of a grind, but we can talk about that. But so let's say you maybe lose a couple home games in that transition, or you lose some of that easy, immediate money. What you gain down the road could be huge. And that's why I'm fascinated to see what the TV ratings are going to be this fall. Because, can the ratings get high enough in this sports wasteland with all good matchups? Can the ratings get high enough where you command an even higher price in TV negotiations? Can the ratings get high enough where you command even more eyeballs? The brand grows even stronger. And then from a value standpoint, you're bigger than what you were before, and you make up that money tenfold that you lost in the initial transition. This is all very far out there, very, very, a long way from now. We'll see if any of it comes to pass. But as long as just the immediate right now, I love this 10-game SEC schedule. I like LSU battling against the best, 7-0 against top 10 teams last year. They are made for this grind. Let's just see what this quarterback and this new offense can do with all these new faces. It's going to be very tough, but very fun to watch from our perspective.